Welcome back, guys, to another tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to make a TYCOON. Now, the first part is building the droppers, of course. In this design, we just went for a basic dropper. Next, we have the conveyor. I told you to just do this. And next, we have the receiver, which I'll show you how to make soon. First, we can start with the dropper. So once you have made the dropper, I'll make a part, and this is going to be where the parts drop from. Add a script to it, and then do while true do wait the cooldown, whatever you want the cooldown to be of the dropper. In this case, I'll make it 1 second. Now we do the same thing I did last video, which was create a new part. Local part equals instance.new part. I'll show you how to make your own custom models in a second. And of course, your part.parent equals workspace or game.workspace, and part.position equals script.parent.position. Now you can change your part.size equals vector3.new, which is basically creating a new 3D value. And you can set these components to whatever you want. And you can click around with some few other things as well. This blue plastic does not have a space. Next, earlier I told you how to make your own custom models. In this case, this part is going to be my custom model. Instead of doing all this code, we can just do, we don't care about the others. Local part equals game.workspace, or whatever you stored it, .model, or whatever you called your model. But for now, we are just going to stay with this. Next, we of course need a receiver to give the money. Now you can just build your receiver however you want. What that matters is that there's a part at the front of the receiver that the blocks are definitely going to be touched. That the blocks are definitely going to touch. So we have the block that the parts are going to touch. This is going to be the main part of the receiver, of course. And we can name it the receiver if you want, but it doesn't really matter. We can input a script. We can do script.parent.touched, and then we can do connect function, and then other part, and make sure you use this exact casing, other, and then capital P part. And next, you can also hook this up to another function if you want, but it's a little bit more complicated. Next, we can do if other part dot name equals to this is the thing. The parts we make here are just going to be called part, so you can't distinguish them from the rest. So first, we have to go back into the dropper, and then do part.name equals whatever you want to name the part. For instance, I'm going to name mine stud. Now we go to the receiver, and then we put in the name we just made the part's name be. Now it will if it will detect whenever a part is touching it, and it will detect as well if the part that is touching it is the part that was dropped by the dropper, aka the stud. For now, we're just going to do other part dot destroy or remove. Yeah, I prefer remove. Now let's try running it. As you can see, they drop. Now this is a pretty basic Tycoon setup, but it doesn't actually give you any money. Now here's the complicated part, and me myself had a common issue with this. But what my solution was, first we need to input the leaderboard. So we can go to service, add a script. Alright, so in the script you just insert it into script service. This is just going to be a variable. Local players equals game dot get service players. Next, we can do game dot players. Wait, hold on. We don't have to do that. Players dot player added dot connect. Oh, wait, was that correct? Yeah, we can do dot connect. Now we can use this one function. There we go. Okay, we don't need to add anything here. Next, we can do local leader stats. Make sure it's called leader stats and not leaderboard. Local leader stats equals to instance.new. Local leader stats equals instance.new folder. And the leader stats.parent equals to, hold on, equals to, and this is where we have to add the player in. Function player, and then now you can do leader stats.parent equals to player, which we just inserted up here. Next. Next, we can add our actual, let's just say currency. Local money, or you can just name it something else. It'll just make it easier to name money though. Local money equals instance dot new int value. This stores an int value as you would expect. Money dot parent equals leader stats. Or yeah, you actually have to call leader stats. There we go. Money dot parent equals leader stats. Now we can do money dot name equals money. And of course, finally, we can do money dot value equals. We don't need for that. We don't need quotations for that. 0. So let's play. Let's see if the leaderboard worked. And as you can see, there is a money leaderboard up here now. Perfect. Now we can add the money to the person. Now, here's the thing. Who do we add it to? We could just add it to all the players in the server, but that would just make everyone rich and make it pretty much unfair. Here's the thing. So we can run to all the players in the server, but we only give money to the people who are in a certain team, aka TYCOON 1. So go down to teams and then add a team and then name it TYCOON 1 or whatever you want to name it. And you can add a few more tycoons later. Next, we're going to go down to the receiver script and and before we just had a move, but now we can do for I equals 0. Game dot players dot get players, and then wait, hold on, 3, and then it should add the end. Oh yeah, and you also need to add brackets on the get players. Next, I yeah, hold on. Alright, so instead of the whole if loop we did before, we can do players. Yeah. Alright, so we can do local players equals game dot get service players in quotation marks. Now we can do for I player, and instead of just doing player, we can do player in pairs bracket players dot get players, and of course it's a function, so we add brackets over here, and another bracket do, and of course an end. Now this is where we're going to work our magic. If player dot team equals to game dot teams dot, now instead of doing dot, if your tycoon name has spaces in it, we can do bracket square brackets, then quotation marks tycoon 1, or whichever you named, or whichever tycoon you're talking about. Then player dot leader stats dot money dot value plus equals. Now, what are we going to be plus equalsing it by? Different studs have different values, of course. Now, this is where a bit more comes in from my previous tutorial. Now, for now, it's going to comment this out. We're going to go back to the dropper and go back to the script. Now we're going to add a local value equals instant. We don't actually have to name a value. Equals instance dot new int value, or you can do a float value, but I don't recommend it. Now we can do value dot parent equals to part. Now we can do value dot value equals to whatever you want it to cost. For now, I'll just put in 10. For now, I'll just put in 10. There we go. Next, now that the int value is successfully placed inside, oh yeah, we have to name it first. Value dot name equals value. We can go back to our receiver. Okay, uncomment this out. Play delete, that's the money dot value, plus equals other part dot find first child or value, or whatever you named it. Dot find first child value dot value. And let's see if that works. This usually doesn't work. And as you can see, my money is going up. But in a tycoon, you create money. Why? To buy buttons. So you're going to make more droppers. That's the entire basis of tycoons. You can't just make a money-making system without actually making a way to spend the money. So that's what we're going to do next. Wherever you want to place your dropper, and first we're going to be designing our dropper. You can just copy your dropper if you're lazy like me, or you can design a totally new one. But make sure to copy the scripts. Now, if you copy the scripts, you should have the exact same script in here. But you can increase your value. You can actually increase the value of your ores, of course, because it's, you had to pay money for the dropper. So instead of 10, we do, instead of your previous value, we can do 15 or 20, or however much you want. And of course, it does it. That's what it does. Now, what do we do if we have to buy this? Because of course the upgrade doesn't come with the game by default. That would be just unfair. So, make the button. I usually like using a cylinder, as it just fits with most tycoons. That does not have to be perfectly scaled. Wait, and you, there we go. Most tycoon buttons are colored red. Okay, whatever. Okay, now that you have your button, please make sure that it is anchored to the ground. And here's where you're going to add the thing above it. I couldn't really find a better way, so this is just how I do it. You go down to the studs offset after adding a billboard GUI, and you can change it to 5 or something different. There's your billboard. Next, you can add a text label. And now I recommend that you turn your background transparency to 1, or somewhere close to 1. Next up, turn the text scaled, and you can place in your dropper. For in my case, I can put in buy upgraded dropper. 200 money. 100 money. Now that we have the actual building done, we can make a script inside the part. Now we can do script.parent.touch, like we did for the collector. And then we can connect function. Now we can't do player, so we can just do other part. Can't do player because it can't detect whether a player is stepping on it somehow. Okay, next. If other part dot parent is equal to this other part dot parent dot find first child, which is going to be the humanoid, which only players have humanoids, and of course dummies have humanoids. So the find first child humanoid, and it is unequal to nil, which is the squiggly thing, and the equal nil. Then this means that it actually found a humanoid, because if it had not found humanoid, it would return nil. Next, now that it has found a humanoid, we know that it's a player. So now we can do play. We can do. Oh yeah, we have to do local humanoid. Local humanoid equals other part dot parent. Other part dot parent the find first child humanoid, and we can do humanoid. Local player equals humanoid dot parent, because that's going to be the player. But we can't change any status about this player because it only exists in the workspace. The actual player's leader stats, it's in the players. Now there's a special command for fixing that issue. Local player equals humanoid dot parent dot. Oh yeah, local player equals game dot players dot get player from character. And now we can put in our humanoid dot parent. Now we can do player dot leader stats dot money dot value minus equals 200, or whatever it costs. For my example, it's actually 100. But the players can still buy it if their money value is less than 100. Here's how you fix that. Now, it's quite easy. You need to play the lead stats the money value. If play the lead stats the money value is greater than 99, then 99 because 100 minus 1 is 99. You can do minus 1 for all of your buttons. Now, this should... yes. I forgot. It's not even doing anything yet, except for subtracting your money. Now, of course, we can do script.parent.remove. Instead of dot, we have to do dot remove. But before all of that, okay. Now, where is your dropper you built? Yep, over here. Now, you can group them all together into one dropper. And in this case, we can call it dropper 2. Next, we go into the button, and we can make a for loop. We make a for loop. So first, we can be local dropper equals game.workspace dot game.workspace dot dropper 2. And you can just click on dropper 2 in the pull down menu. Or you can just write it out exactly like this. With your name included. With the name of your dropper included, not the actual name. Okay, next. For. Now I can make the for loop. For I equals 0. Dropper get children. Yes. Hashtag dropper dot get children. And make sure this I is actually equal to 1. How do I that my cause errors? Dropper I dot transparency is equal to 0. And now you can do the same thing, except you can do dropper I dot can collide is equal to true. And this basically looks like it just gets appeared into existence. So now we're pretty much done, right? First, I'm not sure if this has an error yet. I haven't tested it out. First, we can select both of these using Shift, holding down Shift. Make the anchored false, make can collide false, and make the transparency 1. Let's try this out. Highlight how many? Invalid 4. Limit. Number exceeded. Got table. Oh, here it is. Now, there's probably a problem with my code here. Right, so instead of the previous for loop, we do for I child, which is actually a new variable, in I pairs, bracket, children, and local children is also equals drop per get children, which I stated drop per up here. 2 child.transparency equals 0 and child.cancollide equals to true. Now, as we join the game, if we have enough money, we can now successfully buy the dropper. And as you saw, our money went down. You can repeat this process for the entire tycoon, and soon enough, you have a successful tycoon. Thank you for listening to my tutorial. It's been quite a long one. See you soon.